Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saviram Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhi Tamadvijavahai Shanti 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 Shanti. Okay, so we are looking at verse number 31. So let us just chant that. Chapter 4, verse number 31. Shri Bhagavan
Shri Bhagavan Vacha
Yajna Shishta Mritabhujoho Yanti Brahma Sanatanam
Shanti Brahma Sanatanam
Ayam Lokosta Yajnasya
Ayam Lokosya Yasya
Kutonyah Kuru Sattamaha
Kutonya Kuru Sattama.
Okay, so Krishna has finished talking about the 12 yajnas, and just to make sure that nobody has forgotten, I'll just quickly summarize those yajnas, starting with the verses. So the 25th verse, Brahma Agno Apare Yajnam Yajnena Eva Upajohati, was Jnana Yajna, Atma Jnanam. Then Daivam Eva Apare Yajnam Yoginaha Paribasate, was Daiva Yajna. Shotriyandindriyani Anye Samyam Agnisha Juhati, was Damaha Indriya Samyam Yoga Yajnaha. Then Shabdadin Vishayan Anyaha Indriyagnisha Juhati, was the sacrifice of Indriya Vishaya to Indriyas. So Vishaya Nigraha Yajnaha. Then Atma Sanyam Yogat Agnau Juhati Jnana Dipite, was Samaha, control of the mind. Then the 28th verse was Dravya Yajna, charity. The 28th verse itself was Tapaha, austerity. 28th verse itself contained Ashtanga Yoga, Yoga Yajna, that is 8. Then 28th verse also contained one more, Swadhyaya, study the scriptures, that is 9. 28th verse also contained Jnana Yajna. So Swadhyaya and Jnana Yajna are two different things. One is study of scriptures by way of chanting, and one is by way of learning the meaning. And here we said in the 28th verse that Jnana refers not to Atma Jnanam, but knowledge of supporting factors like Tarka, analysis, Mimamsa, grammar, Vyakaran, all these things. In 29th verse we saw Pranayama Sadhana. And the 30th verse we saw Ahara Niyamaha, food discipline. So with these 12 yajnas he has completed, and now he wants to add a few things over here. So he says, He Kuru Sattamaha. Now we are talking about the 31st verse. He Kuru Sattamaha. Best among the Kurus, or brightest among the Kurus. Yajna Shishta Amrita Bhujaha. Bhujaha is the Bhokta, the one who eats. Yajna Shishta Amritaha. You can understand? What does it mean? Yajna Shishta Amritaha.
One who eats the leftovers of the yagya, that Amrit. They eat
Amrit.
the Amrit, which is really the after the prasad.
Prasad.
Like.
So Amrit here refers to prasad or nectar. So yajna shishta means leftover from the yajna. Amritaha. That amritaha, that nectar, which is left over from the yajna. Bhujaha, the one who takes. Okay. So He Kuru Sattamaha, the one who takes part, who eats the prasadam from the yajna. So what happens to him? He says, Yanti Sanatanam Brahma. He reaches that Sanatana Brahma. He reaches that eternal Brahma. And Ayagnyasya, for the one who does not perform a yajna. So Ayagnyasya is the person who is not performing any yajnas. Ayam lokaha, in this world, na asti. So na asti, you have to add, there is nothing that we can gain. No asti means nothing is there. So literally the line means, for the one who does not perform yajna, there is nothing in this world. So nothing is to be gained in this world. I am lokaha na asti. Nothing is gained in this world. That is the second part. And the third part of the sentence is kutaha anyaha. If nothing is gained in this world, kutaha anyaha has to be connected to na asti lokaha. I am lokaha na asti. For the person who does not perform a yajna, there is nothing gained in this world itself. And therefore, kutaha anyaha, what can be gained in anyaha, any other world? Okay. So very, very beautiful verse. And to understand it, we have to, of course, look at Shankara. And Shankara introduces this verse with the comment that all yajnas, any yajna has two results, two consequences. One is the papanashaha, short-term papanashaha, which means removal of obstructions. So papa here has to be taken as obstructions to the study of Vedanta. So all yajnas have two results. One is the removal of obstructions to the study of Vedanta, which is the short-term consequence. And one is the long-term consequence, which is the moksha. Okay, so all yajna, remember now, everything is being looked upon only as with one objective in mind, that is moksha. And therefore, even a yajna has that only. The whole purpose of yajna is not material gains, though karmakanda also supplies you with that. But when you do those consequences of material, those yajnas of material gains, you are ignoring the non-material gain which can result, the spiritual gain which can result, which is the papanashaha, chitta shuddhi, which can happen. So Shankara says that is not the right way to look at it. When you are looking at a yajna, you should look at a yajna as having only two consequences. One is giving you chitta shuddhi, short-term papanashaha. And in the long term, because of the chitta shuddhi, your obstructions for the study of Vedanta are removed. And therefore, what do you have? Therefore, you have long-term moksha. And the instruction is therefore what? What is Krishna saying? That when you start the day, every single action of yours should be looked upon as this yajna. So you are getting up in the morning, you are putting your feet on the ground, you are brushing your teeth, your breakfast, everything is yajna. And if breakfast is yajna, then whatever I eat is yajna shishtam. So your lunch becomes yajna prasadaha, your breakfast becomes yajna prasadaha. And therefore, you may be hungry, but however hungry you are, you chant Brahmarpanam, because that is converting it into yajna. And if you don't know, if you don't remember that 18th verse, at least that 24th verse, at least you say Om Namo Narayana. Or you can't say that, just say Om. And then you take the food. The moment you invoke the name of the Lord, that becomes a prayer. And therefore, that action becomes yajna. Therefore, what does the food become? Yajna shishtam. It becomes yajna prasada. And if you do that, Sanatanam Brahma Yanti, you will definitely obtain moksha. You will definitely get moksha. Now the question is, out of these 12 yajnas, and that is why I just, outlined those 12 yajnas for you. Out of those 12 yajnas, only one yajna is a Jnānayoga. All the other 11 yajnas are basically supporting yajnas, which will lead a person to Chitta Shuddhi and therefore will bring you to the most powerful and potent yajna, which is Jnānayoga. In fact, commentators say that the 11 yajnas are so designed that regular practice of those yajnas will itself create a desire for jnana. And therefore, a religious life, which is designed by the Vedas, is meant to sow the seed for jnana, for philosophical knowledge. So, these yajnas themselves will generate so much punyam for you. So, in technical terms, what will the yajna do? They will generate punyam. When punyam is sufficiently there, then the karma phala data, who is Easwara, his hands are tied. When you have sufficient punyam, he has no option but to bring you to Vedanta, to give you a teacher and to bring you to Vedanta. And therefore, he says all these necessary conditions Ishvara will provide. And that is why Sanatanam Brahmayanti. They will attain the immortal, eternal Brahman by getting Chitta Shuddhi, coming to knowledge, doing Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasana. That is the lot of the person who leads a religious life. And he talks about the people who don't. Ayajnasya, people who do not believe in these kind of disciplines. Why don't they believe? Because they don't understand that these are meant for their own spiritual growth. And therefore, they don't practice any yajna. And Krishna says, I am lokaha nasti. For such a person, there is no worldly happiness possible because of the lack of discipline. I am lokaha itself. If you don't have discipline, your first thing to be affected is physical health. The next is mental health. You may have all opportunities for pleasure around you, but not the body or the mind, which is fit enough to take advantage of that pleasure. So Krishna is saying that a person who is not disciplined, for him even sense pleasures are not available. Where is the question of paraloka sukham? Kutaha anyaha. In this world itself, when ihaloka sukham is not available, where is the question of kutaha anyaha paraloka sukham? Where is the spiritual joy? Where is the ananda? Which is, of course, much higher than the pleasures of this world. So, ihaloka sukham is not there. Paraloka sukham is not there. Moksha sukham is definitely not possible for such a person. That's what Krishna says. Now, one question should come up, When you hear the term Yajna Shishtaha, one question you should have. Yajna Shishtaha means what is the prasadam from the yajna. But if you look at all the yajnas, what are the yajnas you saw? The 12 yajnas. Out of the 12 yajnas, in how many of them is there a prasadam? For example, you take pranayama yajna. Is there prasadam available? No. You take the yajna where the sense objects are being offered to the sense organs. Is there a prasada available? No. And therefore the question is, in many of these yajnas, hey Krishna, the prasada itself is not there. How can I consume what is not there? So this question will not occur to us, We just simply take this word, and okay, fine, prasadam. But the question is, in the yajnas which he has talked about, the prasadam itself is not there. So how to understand when Krishna says that yajna shishta amrita bhuja? So Shankara says, don't worry. Shankara says the yajna shishta, the shishta portion has to be understood after the yajna, not as remnant. Which means what? Any food which you consume after you do yajna is prasad. So if you have done pranayama yajna in the morning, and then you go and have your normal breakfast, that breakfast is yajna shishta. So very carefully designed distinction. Okay. There is no yajna, there is no prasadam coming out of many of these yajnas, and therefore any food which you consume after the yajna, Shankara says, has to be understood as yajna shishtaha. Not food left over from the yajna, but food consumed after the yajna. Very, very important distinction, which we should all remember. And as I said, these kind of questions will not occur to us, but well, Shankara is there, so we are happy about that. Now we look at verse number 32. Evam bahuvida yajñāha
एवं बहुविधा
बहुविधा यज्ञाः
vitata brahmano mukhe
Vitata
ब्रह्मणो
Brahmano
कर्मजान् विद्धितान् सर्वान्
विद्वान् सर्वान्
एवं ज्ञात्वा विमोक्ष्यसे.
एवं ज्ञात्वा विमोक्ष्यसे.
Okay, so look at the words first. I'm just muting you all because somebody's mic is still open. I would request you all, please keep your mics shut so that there's no disturbance in the recording. So, evam. Evam is what? In this manner. In this manner, bahuvida yajñāha, many types of yajna, different types of yajna, vitataha, have been elaborately mentioned, brahmanaha mukhehe, in the mouth of Brahma. Very interesting statement. The mouth of Brahma mentions many yajnas, evam, in this manner. Which manner are we talking about? The manner in which Krishna has just talked about. And therefore here, Brahmanaha has to be taken as Lord Brahmaji. Lord Brahmaji's mouth has mentioned. And what did Lord Brahmaji's mouth mention?
The Vedas.
The Vedas. So Brahmanaha mukhe is Vedas. We must remember these kind of connections. In this manner, many yajnas and rituals and religious disciplines have been very elaborately mentioned in the Vedas. And Krishna says that is all very fine. They are all been mentioned, but Viddhitan sarvan, understand them all. All the Veda, all the rituals mentioned in the Vedas, Viddhitan sarvan, you should understand karma ja, as born of karma, karma jan, born of karma, and therefore those rituals are what? Atma or anatma? They are anatma only. So tan sarvan karmajan viddhi, understand every ritual mentioned in the karma kanda of the Veda as born from karma and therefore karmajan. Why born from karma? Because it requires karma to do all the rituals. Evam gyatva, if you understand in this manner, vam vimokshase, you will get moksha. Okay. So these 12 yajnas which Krishna mentioned, they don't cover all the yajnas mentioned in the Vedas. They are only sample yajnas. So he says, evam bahuvida yajnaha. Evam means like the 12 yajnas which I have mentioned. Bahuvidaha yajnaha. There are many yajnas mentioned in the Vedas. And Veda says there are many types of yajnas. And why are there so many yajnas? Because different people have different capacities. You can prescribe bodily puja to somebody. You can prescribe Surya Namaskara to somebody else as a yajna. But If that person has, let us say, a lower back issue, you will not prescribe Surya Namaskara to him. So for him, this Kaika Yajna is not possible. And therefore, Shastra recognizes that and says, okay, fine. If the person has a back problem, let him do Vachika Yajna, verbal Yajna, or let him do Manasa Yajna, let him do mental Yajna also. And also, some people have the capacity to do in terms of mental attention available, the concentration powers available. So there is Adhikari Vedaha. The difference according to the Adhikaritvam, according to the eligibility is also there. Now, for example, if you want to do a Rajasuya Yajna, it's a Yajna which requires a lot of money and is done by kings. You don't have that money, nor do you have the overlordship which a king has, so you can't do that Yajna. So what do? You do Japa Yajna. You do something you do at least. And that's why Krishna says, Yajnanam Japa Yajñosmi. He says somewhere else. Among all the Yajñas, I am the highest Yajna. Japa Yajna is the highest Yajna. So here in this verse, if you look at it, all Yajñas are being given a very broad classification, which I mentioned. One is Jnana Yajna, the other is non-Jnana Yajna. Okay. And non-Jnana Yajñas, Krishna calls them as Dravya Yajñas. Dravyam means some substance, some object which you are using for the Yajna. So Dravya Yajna, or also we can call Karma Yajna. Remember that even Upasana or Dhyanam, they will come under Karma Yajna only, because neither Dhyanam or Upasana can give you knowledge. They cannot give you Jnanam. So only those activities which give you Jnanam, they are Jnana Yajna. Those activities which give you purification of mind to come to Jnanam, they are Dravya Yajna. That is the differentiation. Karma Yajñas or Dravya Yajñas can only give you Chitta Shuddhi, purification of mind. Puja, Japa, Pranayama, Ashtanga Yoga, Kundalini Yoga, all these are basically what? Karma only. And the result of karma, we have seen earlier. Karma has a fourfold consequence. The phalam, the fruits of karma can only be fourfold. Chaturvida phalam. Do you remember what they are?
Dukkha Mishritatvam.
Yes.
No. We have talked about this 4 types of fruits of karma. I'll give you the first one. Apyam.
Apya, Prapya, Vikarya, Samskarya.
Apyam, Utpadyam, Vikaryam, Samskaryam. Okay. You can either reach somewhere, you can refine something, you can change something, you can produce something. These are the only possible 4 fruits of karma. Therefore, Jnanam cannot come under any of these four types. So karma cannot give you Jnanam. Karma can produce Chitta Shuddhi. It can take you to Chitta Shuddhi, purity of mind only. And therefore, like the temple gates, there is a choice about entering the temple, especially the South Indian temples. If you see, there are many gates, 4 gates are there, or 5 gates are there. You can enter from any of the gates, but when you go to the sanctum, there is only 1 gate. Similarly, to come up to Chitta Shuddhi, you can choose anything. You can choose Ashtanga Yoga, you can choose Pranayama, you can choose Kundalini Yoga, you can choose charity. Choices are there of the Yajna up to the stage of Chitta Shuddhi. Once Chitta Shuddhi is there, everybody will have to go to Jnānayoga only. There is only one path for that. And therefore, what is Krishna's advice? He says, choose any Yajna, any Karma Yajna, any Dravya Yajna you choose. That is why he gives 11 of them over here. And those 11, as I said, are symbolic for all the Yajnas, Karma Yajnas, Dravya Yajnas mentioned in the Veda. Choose any one of them, purify the mind, then come to Jnana Yoga, follow Jnana Yoga and get moksha. And that's why Krishna gives a warning here. Tan vidhi. You should definitely know, hey Arjuna. Sarvan karmajan. All those karmas. Here you have to be very clear. Sarvan karmajan means all those yajnas other than Sarvan here. All. You have to, all doesn't mean really all over here. It means all yajnas excepting Jnānayoga are karmajan. They are born of karma, either kaikam, vachikam or manasikam, which means that they are all born at the level of the anatma. Why? Karma belongs only to anatma. And therefore you should understand the pros and the cons. They can give purity, that is the positive part of karma. The negative part of karma, they cannot give you jnana. If you do karma, you would convert yourself from an impure ajnani into a pure ajnani. That is all that will happen. So even in nirvikalpa samadhi, even if that person is completely chitta shuddhi, he cannot become a jnani. Without what? Without jnana. Nirvikalpa samadhi is also a davya yajna. It's a very powerful form of concentration, so powerful that the distinction between the meditator, the meditated, and the process of meditation is lost. But when you, during the samadhi period, but when you come out of the samadhi, that distinction comes back again. And therefore samadhi cannot be a producer of jnana. It cannot give you moksha. So he says, evam gyatva. You have to understand this here, Arjuna, that dravya yajna gives you only purity and jnana yajna gives you moksha. So as the karta, bhokta, arsi, I am the samsari. As akarta, abhokta, osi, I am free. I am jivan mukta. And Shankara adds here, aham nirvyaparaha. Understanding that I am jivan mukta means understanding that I am free from any transactions at all. And again, as I have said repeatedly before, this aham akarta abhokta is purely an internal dialogue in your mind. It is a change of your mindset. Your mindset today is that I am a karta. Aham nirvyaparaha is I am aham akarta, aham abhokta. I am not a karta, I am not an experiencer also, I am not a bhokta. This understanding is purely in your mindset. It should not be taken that Krishna is telling us that it is okay to drop all karma in the Vyavaharika plane. It is not. Vyavaharika is transactional. Where transactions are required, you have to do transactions. You should clearly know both and you should follow them both. Follow them both means what? Enter karma, get chitta shuddhi, then enter jnanam, and then only vimokshase, attain liberation. But as far as your interactions with the external world are concerned, they don't know you are a jnani, and therefore for them you continue to do actions, you continue to do all transactions. The knowledge that I am not the one doing the transactions is not something you want to convey to them. It is an internal chatter with your own mind. That is what is meant over here. Very, very important understanding. Okay, now we look at verse number 33. We will chant. Shreyan dravyamaya yajna Jnana yajna parantapa Sarvam karma khilam partha.
सर्वं किलं पार्थ
Jnane parisamaapyate.
ज्ञाने परिसमाप्यते.
Okay. So, hey Parantapa. Parantapa is the one who burns his enemies. It's a name given to Arjuna. Oh, scorcher of foes. Because of your all those fiery arrows which you have, you are able to kill your foes through fire. It's a name. Okay, we need not go into that too much. Hey Parantapa, Jnānayoga. This, so you have to break up that first word very carefully. Shreyan, Dravya, Mayat, Yajñāt, Jnānayoga. Okay, that word, the breakup of that word is important, or that line is important. Shreyan, Dravya, Mayat, Yajñāt, Jnānayoga, Parantapaha. So, hey Parantapaha, Jnānayoga, the discipline of Jnānayoga, knowledge, Shreyan, is superior to Yajñāt, any Yajña, Dravya Mayat. Mayam here is in the form of composed of. So Dravyam is materials. Dravya Mayat means having material, using materials. Yajñat Dravya Mayat, to religious yajñas or any yajña in which you are using materials. So he's talking about the normal yajña where there's a homakund, where there's an offering of ghee or milk or fruits or whatever. So he says, Dravyamaya yajñat shreyan jnana yajña. Jnana yajña is superior to those yajñas which are performed using materials. Why? Hey Partha. Partha is son of Pritha. Pritha is another name for Kunti. Hey Partha. Sarvam karma, all actions, akhilam. Akhilam sarvam karma, all actions in their totality, in their entirety, jnane parisamapyate. They should end in knowledge. They are resolved in knowledge. So, hey Arjuna, jnana yajna is superior to yajnas involving materials because, hey Arjuna, every action without any exception culminates in knowledge. A very, very beautiful and thought-provoking verse. So here also we look at Shankaracharya, and Shankaracharya gives a very beautiful introduction. Now, for example, in the Karma Kanda, it's a very, very beautiful explanation. So, in the Karma Kanda, when there are details of yajñas being given, of rituals being given, what is the purpose of the rituals?
Chitta-shuddhi.
Chitta-shuddhi.
Material gain.
Material gain, chitta shuddhi, whatever. So, which means the purpose is what? That you should be able to practice those rituals. Correct? Because if you want to get chitta shuddhi out of those rituals of the yajñas, or even if you want to get material gains like putra or wealth or something from those yajñas, you should be actually practicing, implementing those yajñas. So in Karma Kanda, the purpose of the yajna being given is different. What is the purpose? The purpose is for you to practice. But Shankara says you should remember that in Bhagavad Geeta is basically is a moksha shastram. It's a shastram meant for moksha, and therefore the purpose of the yajñas being mentioned by Krishna in this particular chapter, Shankara says it is not meant for practicing at all. If the yajna is not meant for practicing, what possible reason could Krishna have?
Spiritual gain.
No. He says, Krishna says, I am mentioning these yajnas not to teach you karma, but I am mentioning these yajnas so that you can understand the limitations of these yajnas. And therefore, having understood the limitation, you should withdraw from them. You should drop the yajnas. That is why he says, Sarvam karma akhilam partha jnane parisamapyate. And he said in the previous verse, karma jan vidhi. Know that they're all born from karma. That is the major limitation. The major limitation of any yajna is that they require karma to perform. Krishna is not trying to teach karma. He is not even trying to teach us to be excellent in karma. He is trying to show us that any karma, even the most exalted, the most excellent karma, will have the limitation. What is the limitation? Karma is limited, and therefore karma phalam is also limited. And having known that karma phalam is limited, you should understand that why would I want to do something which gives me limited phalam? With that understanding, I should drop the karma. And therefore Krishna is mentioning the karma. And Shankara says, in any Vedantic text, wherever there are yajnas mentioned, karmas mentioned, understand that they are not meant for you to practice. That mention is for the purpose of understanding the limitation of that karma and therefore knowing, as an intelligent person, I should not be pursuing the path of karma. The message of Gita is, Jnanam alone will give moksha. And if you take a sloka like the Brahma Arpana, 24th sloka, or you take the 18th sloka of this chapter, Karmani Akarma Pasyet. What is the right knowledge? The Samyak Darshanam. What is the right knowledge? Out of all these slokas, there is only one right knowledge. Samyak Darshanam in Vedanta means only one thing. What is that? Sarvam Brahma. Everything is Brahman. That is what it means. Unless you have that understanding that whatever I am seeing before me is Brahman, you have not got Samyak Darshanam. And that is the very purpose of Krishna putting in all these yajnas to show you that they are all karma, they are all limited objectives. Drop them. Samyak Darshanam means what? Everything is Brahman. So if you see a, let us say a rose in the garden, and you say that rose is a red rose, is that Samyak Darshanam?
No.
No.
Rose.
What is the Samyak Darshanam there?
It's a rose.
No. It is Brahman. Also
Everything
Brahman.
is-
Samyak Darshanam is
Everything
that
is
is not a
Brahman.
rose, that is Brahman. Right? Even the knowledge that the earth is going around the sun is not correct knowledge. It is not Samyak Darshanam. Samyak Darshanam is earth is Brahman, sun is Brahman. The process of going around the sun is also Brahman. That is the correct knowledge. That is Samyak Darshanam. And that, says Shankara, is the central teaching of the Gita. Wherever you look, you should see only Brahman. Brahmarpanam Brahmahavihi. That's what that verse means. And therefore, any knowledge that something is other than Brahman is wrong knowledge. Therefore, any knowledge which does not tell you that this is Brahman, that knowledge is apara vidya. Therefore, all the yajnas mentioned here in this verse, or for that matter in Karma Kanda, ultimate analysis, they are to be taken as in praise of Jnanam only. And this particular verse is taken as Pramanam to indicate that Jnanam alone is the Tatparyam, the essential teaching of Gita. Jnana Yajna is the greatest Yajna. Therefore, he says, Jnana Yajna Shreyan. Jnana Yajna is the greatest Yajna compared to what? Dravyamayat Yajna. Compared to any non-Yajna, non-Jnana Yajna, Jnana Yajna is the greatest. Here, of course, he has given 11 non-Jnana Yajna. So, compared to all those 11 Jnana Yajna is the highest. Dravyamaya Yajna means there is some material involved in the Yajna. So, Dravyam literally means material. So, you can understand them as the Karakas. Okay, anything. Karma, Karta, Karanam, all those 7 Karakas, you can understand the factors of action, which includes the Yajamana, the one who does the ritual. He is also a Karaka, right? One who does a ritual, the offering, the priest, the fire, all these are Karakas. And all these are included under Dravyam. So anything which has all these Karakas, it is a Dravya Yajna. And Jnana Yajna is superior. Why is Jnana Yajna superior? He says, Sarvam Karma Akhilam Partha Jnane Parisamapyate. He Partha, Sarva Karmam Akhilam. All karma in totality. Jnane Parisamapyate. They will end in Jnana. Now, one interpretation can be Samapyate is culmination. It will end up in knowledge. And therefore, the interpretation is that Sarvam Akhilam Karma, if they do not Jnane Parisamapyate, any karma, any yajna, which does not lead up to Jnana, is useless. Okay, that is interpretation. Because every Jnana Yajna, every Karma Yajna should end up in Jnanam only. And therefore, the corollary is that if you are doing a Karma Yajna or a Dravya Yajna, which is not going to end up in Jnanam, then that Yajna is useless. For example, to take a worldly example, supposing you are cooking an elaborate meal for Deepavali, okay, tomorrow, day after tomorrow. Deepavali meal tomorrow. You're cooking today for somebody. You call 10 guests and you spend half the day in cooking. Now you made a beautiful meal. Lots of items, lot of sweets are there, but the guests do not come. Then he says, in that case, the karma of cooking has failed because it is of no use to you. That karma is of use only if the purpose for which the karma was done has been fulfilled. Your cooking was not done for the sake of cooking. Your cooking was done for the sake of the guests enjoying the food, and the guests don't turn up. Then the cooking is of no use at all. What is the understanding from here? All your sadhanas are meaningful only if the sadhyam is achieved. The sadhyam is Chitta Shuddhi. Chitta Shuddhi alone will bring you to Jnana. And therefore, if your karmas end up without coming to Jnanam, then that karma has been useless. So, karma yajnas are not complete without Jnana. Every sadhana that you do, unless, even if it gives you Chitta Shuddhi, let us say that sadhana gives you Chitta Shuddhi, if that Chitta Shuddhi is not of the quality which brings you to Vedanta, which brings you to Jnana Yajna, then that Karma Yajna, that sadhana has failed. So, Krishna does not say that you have to come to Jnana Yajna today. 10 o'clock you must be there. It doesn't say. You can come now, you can come after 5 years, you can come after 50 years, you can come after next birth. That all's fine. But unless you come to Jnana your life has not got validity. And therefore, he says, Hey Partha, Sarvam Akhilam Karma, all karmas without exception will have some meaning only if they find their fulfillment in Jnana Yoga. If they come samapyate in Jnana Yoga. That is the first meaning. That is the primary meaning, which comes out directly from the words, right? Shankara in his commentary says, okay, that meaning is fine. There is also a second meaning. And he says, Parisamapyate can be taken as, he gives a Sanskrit word, Antarbhavati. Antarbhavati means included. So he says, instead of taking Parisamapyate as culminating in karma, in jnanam, take that Parisamapyate as including, which means Sarvam Akhilam Karma Phalam He Partha are included in Jnana Phalam. Completely different meaning, which means what? That Moksha Purushartha includes Dharma, Artha and Kama, which every karma phalam that you can get out of any of your karmas, they are included in Jnana Phalam. And therefore, Jnanam is superior to karma because all the karma phalams are included in Jnana Phalam. The logic is what? All karma phalams are limited, are finite in nature. Why? Because every karma phalam is produced out of karma. Karma starts in time, begins in time, ends in time. So you work, you start to work, you get the benefit. The working is finite and therefore the benefit is also finite. Whereas Jnana Phalam, what about Jnana Phalam? Shankara says Jnanam does not produce any phalam at all. Because the phalam is what? Apti, Utpatti, Vikaryam, Samskaryam. All these 4 phalams of karma are born in time. And therefore, Jnanam is not a producer of any phalam. What is Jnanam? Jnanam is only a revealer of an already existing status. What is the status? Aham Brahma. Jnanam does not produce that Aham Brahma status. Jnanam only reveals to you the Aham Brahma status. Since the Aham Brahma status is not being produced in time, remember, whatever is produced in time is anitya. But here he says that there is an eternal status which you have, which is that you are Brahman. Jnanam only reveals that already existing Nityam status to you. And therefore, the phalam is not produced. It is only revealed. What is being revealed? A Nitya status. Eternal status as Brahman is being revealed. Aham Brahma Asmi. Aham Satyam Jnanam Anantam Asmi. That is just being shown to you. It was always there. It is there. It will be there. And therefore, Jnana Phalam is infinite because all finites are included in the infinite. In the second chapter itself, Krishna had said, Yavanartha udapane sarvata samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanataha. Jnanam is superior because in the benefits of Jnanam, all benefits of karma are included. So he gives the example of Chandogya Upanishad, to show this. So that Upanishad talks about a small little, dice. Do you know what dice is? What is dice? That cube,
Yeah.
right? The cube
Ludo.
which you
play a
which
game.
you play
Yeah.
snakes and ladders and Ludo, right?
Ludo. Yeah.
Now, in the this dice which we are used to, snakes and ladders, Ludo, etc., it has got 6 sides because it's a cube. But in the traditional dice, in fact, if you saw Mahabharata, if you remember, you may not remember, you remember that the dice which they use is not a cube. It's a rectangular
The
dice.
cylinder. Yeah.
Like
Correct.
4
Longish.
Longish rice. Okay, that is the dice which that's being referred to in Chandogya Upanishad. And so the small 2 sides are not taken into consideration. In this long dice, only 4 sides are taken into consideration, the longer sides. And each side has a name. So that is Kali, Dwapara, Treta, and Krita. Kali is the first one, Dwapara is the second side, Treta is the third side, and Krita is the fourth side. And in this game, when you get the what you call Krita, the fourth side, see, remember each side is the same length, but they are given different names: Kali, Dwapara, Treta, Krita. So the Kali means it has got, if you want to give allocated number of points, Kali is 1 point, Dwapara is 2 points, Treta is 3 points, and Krita is 4 points. This is coming from your Kali Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Treta, and Krita. Okay, they are supposed to be, Kali Yuga is supposed to be half of Dwapara, 1/3 of Treta, and 1/4 of Krita. So that's the name being used. And when you roll this dice and you get Krita, then the points accruing to you are not 4. Because Kali is 1, Dwapara is 2, Treta is 3, Krita is 4. But when you roll the dice and get the Krita side, the points accruing are 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1, 10 points. So in that game, if you have got that side, you get 10 points. Which means what? Had you got Kali, Dwapara, and Treta in 3 throws, this throw of 1 throw where you have got Krita, all the points of all the sides are accruing to you. You don't get 1 or 2 or 3. You get, or 4, you get 10. 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. Upanishad is just pointing out that the benefits of all the rolls of the dice accrue to you when you get Krita. Similarly, when you get Jnana Phalam, the benefits of all the other Purusharthas, they accrue to you. What are we to understand? By attending Vedanta class, if you think you are going to get moksha, you are mistaken. I hope that is clear. At this stage, you should not think that benefit of Vedanta class is moksha. Why should you not think? You have to have understanding. What is the understanding? I am a Jivan Mukta. I was a Jivan Mukta. I will always be a Jivan Mukta. To understand that, you ask yourself a question. Is samsara, is it anadi or is it adi? Is it beginningless or does it have a beginning? If you say samsara is beginningless, then is it good news or bad news?
Bad news.
Why so?
Because you'll never get rid of it.
Right. Beginningless thing can never have an end. Beginningless means endless also. Therefore, if you say samsara is beginningless, it is bad news for you because there is no possibility of moksha. Now, supposing you say, no, samsara has got a beginning and an end, is that good news or bad news?
Good news.
Anybody who has a different viewpoint?
Bad again.
Why? If you say samsara has got an end, you are saying that moksha will begin when samsara ends. And therefore, you are saying that moksha has a beginning. Anything which has a beginning has to have an end. And that, therefore, that moksha which you will get after samsara ends, that is not moksha, because moksha cannot have an end. What is the correct understanding?
Samsara is mithya.
It's
And only
Samsara is,
Brahman.
samsara is mithya, it's an adhyasa. There is no such thing as samsara. Because samsara is a mithya, remember that is the reason why you can negate it through jnanam. A real entity can never be negated through jnanam. You know, you can falsify the rope snake through knowledge, but try going to the snake park and falsifying the real snake with knowledge. That is not going to happen. That is what he's saying. This is the reason why you have to ultimately falsify the world. And the world can be falsified only if it is already mithya. A real world can never be falsified. That is what it means by jnane parisamapyate. Everything will end up in the knowledge that the entire universe is mithya and only I am Satya. So with this, I'll stop for today. Any questions?
Om Acharya, the
Yeah.
4 types of karma phalam, I don't know, maybe I missed. They sounded
Anybody
new
wants
me.
to expand on that? Rashmi ji?
Om Acharya.
Yeah. Could you like to answer that question? What are the 4 types of karma phalam?
So Prapya, you gain something.
Hmm.
Apya, you go somewhere.
Hmm.
Vikarya, you modify something.
Yeah.
And Samskarya, you
Refine something.
refine something.
So these are the only 4 types of results which can be produced through karma. All results of karma can be put in one of these 4 buckets.
Thank you, Acharya. Acharya, you said something, Yagna has 2 results, Papanashana, Moksha actually, but Shankaracharya said there are other 2, like Chitta Shuddhi and one more, you said?
Papanasham is nothing but Chitta Shuddhi. Chitta Shuddhi is the short-term result. And Chitta Shuddhi leads to Jnanam, which leads to Moksha. Therefore, Moksha is the long-term result. There are only 2 results of karma as envisaged in the Vedas. One is Chitta Shuddhi. The next one is Moksha. So, Karma Kanda will give you Chitta Shuddhi. Jnana Kanda will give you Moksha. The fact that Karma Kanda is used for ritualistic or materialistic benefits is fine. But all those materialistic benefits have to be obtained with Karma Yoga, which is keeping Easwara in your life. And if you keep Easwara in your life, then also you get Chitta Shuddhi.
Thank you, Acharya. Also, this Brahmarpanam Brahmahavi, I see mostly some schools, they follow this while eating, mantra. So, is it fine without knowing the meaning of it, like just chanting, like how I teach my son also? So, what should be the feeling when they're just saying it? Like,
Right now, at your son's age and all, it is just being familiar with that particular thing. Okay, you just explain it as Thanksgiving mantra to the Lord. You can't really explain Brahmarpana, Brahmahavi to a small child. It can be basically only a prayer ritual. When he asks what it means, then he is ready for the answer.
of course, he asks even now also all the prayers, but then I don't.
You simply give it as a explanation of a yajna. Essentially, it is yajna, right? What is the fire over there? It is the fire of the stomach. And you're offering the food into the fire of the stomach. So you say that we are symbolizing this as an offering to the Lord. The Lord being taken as fire in the stomach. A simple explanation is sufficient for the time being.
Thank you, Acharya.
Okay, so with this we'll stop here. Thank you for your patience. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your
Om Namah
patience.
Shivaya.
Thank you,
Thank
Acharya ji.
you.